Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we got a good player that we need to develop in the big leagues. But, as you kind of think about our situation right now, you think about third base, you think about first base, and you think about the DH spot. And you got Ramon, you got Westberg, you got O'Hearn, and you got Coby. So I think you got to kind of look at it right now. And the very first thing you have to ask yourself when you write the lineup is, how do we win today's game? I think that's the point of the season that we're in right now. And I think you'll ask yourself that question. And I think the next question you ask yourself is the development piece, right? Where do we develop a guy like Coby's getting into the big league? So it's definitely a balancing act. It's a question that myself and my staff, we ask ourselves every night as we write out the lineup. Tonight we feel like this is the best lineup to win. We'll regroup for tomorrow and the following days and see how we can get Coby in there and fit him in there. Coby's doing great on the side. On days he's not playing, he's working his butt off. He's making improvements. He's staying sharp. I actually see this as like a really good ramp into the big leagues for Coby, how it's kind of set up right now. There's going to be a scenario here, too, in the future where we add Tyler O'Neill into the mix, and you end up having 4 outfielders that you want to play well. So this is tough, right? This is tough for a young player to come in, and we understand that. And it's also, the most important thing for us right now is, how do the Baltimore Orioles win the game? And I think you guys, I think our fans, I think the players, that's probably the question they're asking too.
How have you seen having Coby focus mainly only on first defensively help him?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think Coby has a chance to be a heck of a first baseman in this league down the road. I think part of the responsibility why he's here on this run right here is to develop that for him, right? So sometimes you're not going to see him in the game because he might not be playing that day, but you'll see him out here in a little bit, and basically what feels like 120-degree heat, he's going to be out there busting his butt, sweating, getting after and trying to get better at that position. So I also feel that, for a guy like Coby, taking a little pressure off the glove and playing a position that's a little less challenging than third base might be an important ingredient in him figuring out how to swing the bat here in the big leagues as well.
There's a lot of success stories of developing guys defensively to majors, but one that I think about that might be comparable to Coby, I'm curious if your opinion, is Ryan Mountcastle, who learned first base as he won in the majors. Do you see any similarities with maybe Coby Mayo following that same path?
That's funny you say that. That's something that's a comparison that I've used in the past, because I was here with Mountie when we kind of transitioned from left field into first base in the big leagues. I think, like, when I think of a good first baseman, right, obviously the ball on the ground is important, but probably one of the more underlooked attributes to a good first baseman is the wingspan and the length off the bag, right? Infielders throw wild throws all the time, so having the ability to be really tall or really long towards down the line or up the line and catch kind of errant throws that are catchable, it's a huge trait that Mountie has that we see Coby having as well.
Gunnar's been hitting the ball well. Has he done anything differently?
I mean, it's a constant day-to-day adjustment thing with these guys, right? We probably haven't seen Gunnar's A-swing yet. I think we've probably seen some good versions of the swing, but not the A-swing that we probably saw last year. So I think Gunnar does a great job every single day of going in the cage and trying to find the A-swing. And then once the game starts, as evident by hitting 280 with almost an 800 OPS in the big leagues right now, once the game starts, just kind of competing with what he has. He's done a really good job. So adjustments are day-to-day with Gunn. He's working hard. Ashy, Tommy, Sherm, the hitting fellows, they're grinding hard in there with him, trying to figure it out, and I think we're getting closer.
Is that A-swing for him something that you guys are maybe trying to get him to lift the ball a little more? He is hitting the ball on the ground a ton, and how encouraging is it, to your point, that with his B swing or C swing or whatever it is, that he can still hit 280 in the big leagues?
Sure, I think the A-swing probably hits more home runs than ground balls. When you're coaching, I think there's a misconception in the world with like intentionally trying to create loft the wrong ways in the swing. So I think the result that they're looking for is probably to, drive balls maybe a little bit more than he has, right? And I think that's just more a product of a hitter feeling good versus bad, or, great versus just okay. So I think in due time you'll see Gunnar, start to kind of find that version of himself, and we'll see the results.
Trevor Rogers on the taxi squad obviously makes a great start in Boston. I know you're not watching all of those Norfolk games, but in the starts he has made down there, what has the staff and the org liked about what he's been doing?
So I always ask the pitching guys how Trev looked after every start, and they've been really, really bullish on how good he's looked. So we're really optimistic. We're excited to kind of get him in here tomorrow, and especially after the Boston start, right? That's tough that you make that start, you're the 27th man, right? And just from roster rules and configurations and how things work, you got to kind of go back down, and then you're waiting for an opportunity. But Trev's a proven pitcher in the big leagues. He kind of looks like himself. I think he's probably the pitcher. He looks more like the pitcher that they probably traded for when they went to go get him. So we're just really excited to see him tomorrow.
I asked him if that last start in Boston reminded him of his what he could do in the majors, and he said, yeah, how important is that for him to have more success for the future?
Yeah, it's confidence, I mean, I saw him in 21. We went into Miami, and it was electric, so there's reasons why things happen, the way things go the way they are, but I think what's most important for Trev is just moving forward, and I think if he continues to, progress and move forward based off that last start, then he's going to be in a great spot and be really happy with where he's at.
When you say he looks like himself, I know the velocity is a big conversation surrounding that, but what else goes into that for you?
To me, it's probably the velocity, right? I just think, man, it's hard in this league to come in here and throw 90 in this league. You got to have some stuff. I think when you have velocity, when you're throwing 95, 96 versus 90, all of a sudden that off-speed pitch, even if it profiles better, it's just going to play better, even if it was the same. But my understanding as well is that he worked hard on his off-speed stuff as well, and that was profiling better in the start in Boston. So the whole package is supposed to be a little bit better right now, but you got to call a spade, man. When you're throwing 96 versus 90, it's a very different at bat.
Now, you went to last night's game, went playing 700 baseball over the last 20. How big has the bullpen been during that stretch?
Yeah, they've probably been one of the best units in the game here for a few weeks, would be my guess. I mean, it's been pretty electric. There's been clean innings. There's been, innings where they come into the traffic and got out of it, like Sir Anthony the other day, Sunday, yeah, against Anaheim. They're the reasons why we are winning one-run games right now. It's always the bullpen. It's 2-out hits, it's 2-out RBIs, and it's the bullpen. When you're winning 4-3, 3-2, 2-1 every night.